रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि भाई गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि भाई गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि
भाई गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि
सरस रसीले नैन सन सो
सरस रसीले नैन सैन सो
सरस रसीले नैन सन सो
सरस रसीले नैन सैन सो
प्रेम सुधा रस प्रेम सुधा रस प्याय गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि
प्रेम सुधा रस प्याय गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि
प्रेम सुधा रस प्याय गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि
प्रेम सुधा रस प्याय गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि
भाई गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि
भाई गयो रे मेरे नैनों को
जेहि खोजत रहा रंक आजू लो।
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 सोई पारस मणि सोई पारस मणि पाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
सोई पारस मणि पाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
सोई पारस मणि पाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
सोई पारस मणि पाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
भाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
भाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
अगलो गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि
पगलो मोही बनाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि
पगलो मोही बनाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि
पगलो मोही बनाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि
भाई गयो
को नीलमणि
अब सोई रूप अनूप प्राण धन
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 तन मन प्राण समाय गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि
तन मन प्राण समाय गयो रे मेरे नैनों
भाई गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
भाई गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
कह कृपालु जब विरह पाय तब
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 कहीं हो धोखा खाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
कहीं हो धोखा खाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
कहीं हो धोखा खाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
कहीं हो धोखा खाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
कहीं हो धोखा खाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
कहीं हो धोखा खाए गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
तन मन प्राण समाय गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
तन मन प्राण समाय गयो रे मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
मेरे नैनों को नीलमणि।
मेरे नैनों को लाडली लाल की
जय।
Radhe Radhe, everyone. Agyanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Yashodaya Samakapi Devata Nasti Bhutale Ulukhale Yaya Baddho Muktido Muktimichhati Aho Chitramaho Chitram Vande Tatprema Bandhanam Yad Baddham Muktidam Muktam Brahma Krida Bhrigi Kritam Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tagmangha Devamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukchurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. The divine souls will have a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan. Please join me in chanting Bhajo Giridhar Govind Gopala. Bhajo Giridhar Govind Gopala. Bhajo Giridhar Govind Gopala.
Bhajo Giridhar Govind Gopala.
Bhajo Giridhar Govind Gopala.
Bhajo Giridhar Govind
Giridhar Govind Gopala
Bhajo 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 Gopala
Bhajo Gopala
Bhajo Nandalala
Bhajo Nandalala
Bhajo Giridhar Govind Gopala
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 Bhajo Gopala
Bhajo Gopala
Bhajo Nandalala
Bhajo Nandalala
Bhajo Giridhar Govind Gopala
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 Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki.
Jai.
Today we're going to be doing some question and answer, starting with some questions that our YouTube watchers have sent in. And I'll pause here and there to see if any of you have any questions who are sitting here in the hall as well, so you can keep that in mind. If you have something that comes up, we'll have a wireless mic and you're welcome to ask your question. The first question I'll address has to do with Kriyaman Karma. The person wants to know, is it possible to get the results of your Kriyaman Karma in this life? So first, let me review with you what is Kriyaman Karma. Karma takes three forms. The first is Kriyaman Karma, and that is the karma we're doing now, in this life. Every thought we have is called kriyaman karma, and it is recorded by God. Everything we do, everything we say, everything we think, it's all karma. But of course, the intention and attachment of the mind behind the karma, that is the main thing. That's why we say it is our thoughts that count as karma. In fact, even if you're sitting on the couch, not saying anything, not physically moving, your mind is still working, and those thoughts also count as karma. All of that is kriyamana karma. You can imagine that we perform millions of kriyamana karma every day. Millions might be a very low estimate. Imagine how many thoughts and thus how much karma we perform in each lifetime. All of that kriyamana karma is stored up and it's added to something called sanchit karma. Sanchit karma is the stock of past karma from our infinite past lifetimes that we have yet to receive the results of. The results have to be received. Once they're received, that karma is finished. It no longer exists. You did it, you got the result, it's done. But until you get the result, it's stored up in something we call sanchit karma. Out of that sanchit karma, we get some amount of that we call prarabdha karma, that is given to us in this life, bhogane ke liye, to undergo the consequences of. Where did our destiny come from in this life? That prarabdha karma or destiny came from our sanchit karma. Where did sanchit karma come from? From all the actions we've performed in all of our uncountable past lives. Why do we have karma stored up? Why can't we just receive the results of all of it? Especially since we only perform new kriyaman karma when we're born as a human. Dogs and cats and grasshoppers aren't performing new kriyaman karma because God knows they're unable to discriminate between right and wrong. Therefore, their karma happens on instinct, not out of a sense of right and wrong. Thus, God doesn't reward them for good actions or punish them for bad actions. So you would think if we're only doing kriyaman karma as a human, why wouldn't we be able to keep up with getting the results? Because it takes a lot longer to receive the results than to do the karma. Take an example just in our society. Someone may do a crime and it took them 60 seconds to do the crime, and they serve 60 years of jail because of that crime. Something like this, getting the results of our karma, takes generally a lot longer than actually doing the karma in the first place. And when you're doing millions and billions of karma every day as a human, you can only get a small portion of that as a result in any life to undergo. That karma is received as the situation that we're born into, obstacles and opportunities that are presented to us or that we're faced with in this life. The things that happen to us that are out of our control, all of that is destiny. But how much of that can we really undergo in one lifetime? Thus, we're always adding up. We're never subtracting. We're always adding lots of new karma that's going into our sanchit karma and getting a little bit of that as our prarabdha karma in this life. And while we're undergoing the results of that karma as our destiny, we're still producing new karma. I'm undergoing the effects by facing certain situations, getting certain opportunities, but I'm every moment producing new karma with my free will. So now we come back to the question. Do we get the results of kriyaman karma in this life? The answer is physically no, but mentally somewhat. Every karma you do, of course, the mental aspect is primary, and every thought you have imprints on your mind. We call that a sanskar, that subtle imprint created by every thought according to the quality and intensity of the thought. We create a similar sanskar. The impact of that immediately and for the rest of your life affects you. You're actually changing the quality of your mind with every thought, for better or worse. So from that point of view, you're instantly and in this whole life getting the results of your karma internally. But the physical reward or punishment comes in the future. Next life, the life after that, or a million lifetimes after that, whenever we get the chance, whenever God gets the chance to give us the results of that karma. So this is the way it works. The internal result of karma, we feel the impact of that immediately in this and for our whole life. However, the physical repercussions, meaning the reward or punishment according to the law of karma as given to us by God to undergo, that is saved for the future. Now, some people have a logical question. They say, if the whole point of getting the results of karma, I mean, other than just fairness, if you do the karma, you have to get the result. But in addition to that, it is said that receiving the results of karma is supposed to teach us and inspire us. In other words, if we never get the results of wrong actions, how would we ever know, how would we ever really feel that I should not do wrong actions? If a parent never punished their child for breaking the rules, would the child automatically choose to follow the rules? Some very special children may choose to do that, but it would be rare. So we know that one of the reasons God gives us the outcome of our karma is so that we know good actions bring welfare and comfort, and bad actions bring suffering and difficulty. So the question is, wouldn't it be better if we got that in the same lifetime? I hear this question a lot. If the things that are happening to me in this life are because of something I did in my previous life, and I don't even remember what I did in my previous life, then what's the sense of that? It seems like a logical question, but if we actually look at it practically, how would you know, even if God said, okay, whatever you do in this life, I'll give you the results in this life. Do you even remember all your actions in this life? And then how will you know exactly how to match up one for one? Oh, this result I'm getting is because of that karma. Even then we wouldn't be able to figure it out. Is God going to send us an email? By the way, today, these things that are happening to you, it's because of that. We don't get a memo or an email or anything. So even if it was in the same life, we still wouldn't know what's what exactly. We might, every once in a while, a light bulb might go off. Oh yeah, I did that thing and now this is happening to me, but very rarely. And we would never be 100% sure. So really, practically speaking, what's the difference? Whether we get the results in this life of our actions or some future lifetime, practically for us, there's not much difference. But practically for God, there's a big difference. Because think about it mathematically again. When you're performing millions of karma every day, and it takes so long to get the results of even one single karma, how would God keep up with it? He can't. Even if he wanted to give you all if he said, okay, today every single karma you do, I'll give you the results today itself, he couldn't do it. You would have to be inhabiting 1 million bodies and only performing actions with one of them to get the results. So it never works out mathematically. You can only receive the results of such a limited number of karma, and all the rest, it's going to get added to your sanchit. So these are some of the reasons why this is set up like that. And one benefit of that, actually, is that we're more focused on our internal development. If we were thinking, it's said that if you give charity, then you'll get money. However much charity you give in this life, you get that much wealth automatically in your next life. So if we were going to get that immediately in this life, I gave charity, then when should we get the result? Tomorrow? Next week? And we're always looking for that, whereas when the physical results are carried over to some future life, the only thing we can really control in this life is our internal development. So we say, okay, I have to undergo certain things in this life according to my past karma, so I'll undergo it. Jnani bhugate jnanate, Murakh bhugate roy. I can either happily undergo the consequences or I can cry my way through it, but either way, what's going to happen is going to happen. So let me focus on improving myself. I will have good thoughts. I will say good things. I will do good things, because that's going to impact my mind immediately in this life. I will do bhakti, because that is the most powerful purifier and the fastest way to elevate one's consciousness. So because we don't get the results in this same life, we're at least some people will find it easier to focus internally. So this answers the question, do we get the results of our kriyaman karma in this life? Does anybody have any follow-up questions about that?
Radhe.
Radhe.
We have people who have like dual personality, who don't even remember their mental issues, right? That what they did when they were a different personality yesterday or even this morning. How does karma for them work?
I think people who have those types of issues, God would make some compensation, right? Just like if somebody maybe their mind doesn't develop fully the same way most humans' minds develop. So their mind stays more like a small child, even though their body is full grown, right? There are some people like that. Then how much real understanding do they have of right and wrong? God is looking at that, right, when He's keeping track of their karma. So in each case, He's going to adjust accordingly. Any other questions? So the next question I have here is about a child. Someone's saying, one of my family members is a 6-year-old child who's doing devotion to God now, as a 6-year-old. What if sometime in the future, after some years, they grow up and they get some kusang and they stop doing devotion? The question is, will the bhakti the child did be of waste? No, nothing is of waste in this life, especially not bhakti. Whatever bhakti we do, that creates a devotional sanskar in our mind, and that sanskar affects us, stays with us in this life, and then, of course, that gives its result in the next life as well. The result externally would be some opportunity to pursue that path again in the next life, and mentally it would be those sanskars surfacing into the conscious mind, giving that person some inclination to do devotion during the effect of that sanskar. But of course, where we end up later in life it matters, right? Where were we at the time of death? Let's say we were doing a lot of devotion at some point in our life, and then we left the path of devotion and focused only on the world, or even became a very bad person. Of course, everything we did in our whole life counts, but as far as where will we start in the next life, we'll start where we left off in this life. So where we ended up, that's where we'll start in the next life. Although everything is counted. So the bhakti would not go to waste, certainly not. However, what we become throughout our life matters primarily. What did we become? Where did we end up? Now this is I don't think I've ever been asked this question before. It's a very interesting question. What is your advice for peaceful retirement? So it's interesting because it's a very specific scenario, right? Just like Parikshit asked Shukdev Ji, I'm going to die in 7 days. What should I do with my final 7 days? I've been cursed to be bitten by a poisonous snake after 1 week, so I know in 7 days I'm going to die. How should I spend my remaining time? It's something like retirement, right? We know, we actually, one good thing about growing old is that we feel that impending day coming, that how much time do we really have left? Maybe I should start thinking about doing devotion to God. Interestingly though, Shukdev Ji's answer to Parikshit was, Tasmat sarvatmana rajan hari sarvatra sarvada Shrotavya kirtitavyascha smartavyo bhagavan nrinam. He said, Parikshit, whether somebody only has 7 days to live or whether somebody has 100 years to live, my advice is the same. Do bhakti, do devotion. It doesn't change. Whether you're retiring or whether you're 6 years old and everything in between, the goal of life is the same. The goal of life is to attain perfect happiness by attaining God. And there's no better time to start than now. Prahlad told his school friends, Kaumara acharet pragyo dharman bhagavataniha. He and his friends were 5, 6, 7 years old. And he was explaining to them about devotion and saying, don't wait until you're grown. Never mind waiting until you're retired. Don't even wait until you're a teenager. Start devotion now. Kaumar acharit. As a young child, start devotion. Why? Kasyadya kohi janati mrityu kalo bhavishyati. Mahabharata. Who knows when that time of death is coming? Parikshit knew. That's rare. He knew, I have 7 days. What if any of us sitting here doesn't even have 7 days? It's not a bad thing. Everybody has to leave their body at some time. We say, oh, akal mrityu, right? An untimely death. No, there's no such thing as an untimely death. Every death is timely. Yamraj keeps the time. From the time you were born until the time you leave your body, he's got a countdown. At the moment you were born, he knew how long that countdown was going to last. That's one of the things that's absolutely fixed in your destiny. How many seconds you're going to remain in this body. So he starts his countdown, and he knows when that's going to finish. Therefore, there is no such thing as an untimely death. At the time you were born, the time of your death was already fixed. So other than God and Yamraj, we don't know. Nobody knows when is somebody's time of death coming. There's nothing inauspicious about leaving one's body. It happens. We've all left our body, quote unquote, died infinite times before. So that day is coming now as well, but why not take advantage of this human birth while we have it? This human birth is the only opportunity to perform kriyaman karma. Thus, it's the only opportunity to do bhakti and attain God. So you want a peaceful retirement, although Shukdev ji is saying, do Shravan, do Kirtan, do Smaran. Listen to God's Leelas, listen to philosophy about Shri Krishna. Do Kirtan, and above all else, meditate on the form and Leelas of Shri Krishna. Sarvatra Sarvada, he said, everywhere, Sarvatra, and all the time, Sarvada. Because you never know when the end is coming. So do as much bhakti as you can. This was his advice to Parikshit, who only had 7 days remaining, and he said, this is also my advice for every other ordinary person in this life. Will that give you a peaceful retirement? Peace depends on the attachment of your mind. That's the only thing that determines how peaceful you are. More attachment, more disturbance in the mind. A peaceful mind means less disturbance. And what causes disturbance? Attachment. Jagadguru Shree Kripalu Ji Maharaj says, before, in the beginning of your life when you were single, then you had your own physical problems, pain, suffering, mental problems, getting upset, getting angry, feeling sad. You had to deal with that. Then you got married. So now you and your spouse share what? You share problems. Now your problems doubled because they have their own mental and physical problems. And you have yours, and now you're sharing a life. Then you had kids. Now you have 2-3 kids every day. Something or another is happening. Somebody got upset at school. Somebody scraped their knee. Now your problems have multiplied. Not to say there aren't advantages too, but I'm saying from the peace point of view, now all these things are impacting your sense of peace. Then when you become older, you become a grandparent or even a great-grandparent. Now your family has grown. Your kids have kids and their kids have kids. And on top of that, you yourself probably had brothers and sisters and cousins. So then now you've got nephews and nieces. You've got a family of dozens or even hundreds. And all of them have their problems. And in a family that size, something or another is happening to everybody, meaning to somebody. Every day somebody's having an accident, somebody is ill. Something or another is happening every single day. And all of that affects your peace. That can't be changed. All of that is going to go on happening. The only thing that can change is your level of attachment. The more attached you are to all of those people, then when that happens, it's like it's happening to you. How will you survive that? How would you ever find peace? If you understand all these are souls, so as a family member, it's my duty to try to maintain the family harmony. But do I have to feel that every single thing that's happening is like such a primary thing in my life? No, you don't. So in order to reduce the attachments so that you get more peace, what do you have to do? Bhakti. Your mind is now attached in all this spread out field of people, your extended family. How to reduce that attachment? Not by thinking, oh, I'm getting older now, I should reduce my attachment so I have more peace. That won't reduce your attachment. Doing devotion to Radha Krishna and becoming more attached to them will automatically release, gradually release those worldly attachments. Slowly and naturally and painlessly, without even thinking about it or realizing it. Just increase your attachment to Radha Krishna. So if you want peace now or any time in life, and according to this question, if you want a peaceful retirement, do bhakti. Very simple. Anybody have any questions related to this? Okay. Now, I actually have 3 questions left, but I think I only have time for 1. So, I'm going to go to another COVID question. We've been answering a lot of these lately. And the way that this question is asked is very common. I think it's something that many people may have faced. So this person is saying that they have a relative who is not so much a believer in God, but they know that this person who is answering the question believes in God and does devotion. So this relative is trying to taunt them a little bit, saying that, oh, why don't you ask your Kanha what's going on with this COVID? In other words, oh, well, you believe in God, so why is God letting this happen, type of thing. And the meaning is about, I don't believe in God, but you believe in God, so why is God letting this happen? In this way, this person is getting taunted and doesn't know how to respond. Now, I would say that I would not respond to such a taunt. There's no need to respond because the person isn't asking for knowledge. The person isn't trying to understand something. The person just wants to push your buttons. So I wouldn't actually try to explain anything to that person. I would say, oh, just smile. That's about it. But I think that even people who do believe in God have this type of doubt come up. That, if God is kind, and if there really is a God, why is he letting this happen? So I've actually addressed this question several times over the last couple of years, but it's okay. These questions keep coming up in people's minds, especially when we're going through such a thing as this COVID situation. So let us understand just a little bit of basic philosophy. Ajamekam lohit shukla krishnam vahvi praja srijamanam sarupa ajo hyeko jushamano nushete jahatyenam bhukta bhoga majonya. Shvetashvatara Upanishad says, this world, this Maya, out of which the whole world is made of, has 3 colors, three primary colors. Out of 3 primary colors, blue, yellow, and red, you can combine them and recombine them in infinite ways to make infinite shades of color. Similarly, this Maya has sattva, raj, tam. So the initial energy out of which this whole world is made is called Maya, and that Maya is made of these three internal qualities. Sattvic quality, the good quality. Tamas, the bad quality, and then Rajas is in between. Just like in Taoism, we have yin and yang, positive and negative. But in Hindu philosophy, there's an added nuance. We have the good and bad, and then there's the in-between as well. Sattvic, Rajas, Tamas. The whole world is made of these three qualities. Therefore, the world is always going to have some good and some bad. And the balance of that will continue to change in a cyclical fashion, because that is also one of the characteristics of Maya, is change, and change in a cyclical way, like day and night, like life and death, like the tides coming in and going out, like the seasons going around and around. This cyclical nature of change in Maya is inherent. These qualities of Maya, whether it be the good and bad qualities, and the nature of change, and the fact that that change tends to be cyclical, these qualities are inherent in Maya, which means they're there. Just like in a seed, the DNA determines what is going to grow out of that seed. You add warmth, you add water, the seed sprouts, it germinates, it grows, and then you see, oh, this thing came out of that seed. But it was already, if you could have examined the DNA of that seed, you would have already known this thing was, this mango tree was going to come out of it, or this cactus plant was going to grow out of it. The qualities were inherent. The water and the sunlight and everything just brought those qualities out, allowed them to manifest. The water and the sunlight didn't give the quality to that plant that determined whether it became a mango tree or a cactus, right? The sunlight and water brought it out, but they didn't determine what it became. Similarly, the qualities of Maya are inherent, and Maya is an eternal existing energy. God never created Maya. Maya is eternally existing. God, like the water and the sunlight, brings out the qualities of Maya when He activates Maya and the world is produced. And when He deactivates Maya, it's like that tree going in reverse back into the seed. That's called pralay. And then when God again activates Maya, that's called Srishti, and the universe is produced. But every time the universe is produced, the DNA is the same. The inherent qualities of Maya are never changed. God never changes the qualities of Maya. That's what Maya is. That's what it has been since eternity. So it means that God has not created the good and the bad qualities of Maya or given Maya any of its inherent characteristics. Maya is what it is and has been since eternity and will remain forevermore. So what we see as far as the way the world functions naturally, that is just the way it is. The divine world is different. The divine abode, where God realized souls go, which is beyond the cycles of Srishti and Pralay, is perfect. But here in this world, everything is Mayic. We live in this Mayic world, therefore we always observe and are subjected to the ups and downs of the Mayic world. Now add into it our karma, which we were discussing. We all have our sanchit karma, which I explained before, and out of that we've been given a certain prarabdha to undergo in this life. Every soul has their prarabdha to undergo. So now imagine all the souls living in one locality, although each soul has their individual destiny to undergo, in certain cases there's a collective destiny as well. Just like if a hurricane hits a certain locality, that's because of the collective destiny of all the people living in that locality. Then whose house gets more impacted or less impacted, that's because of the individual destinies. Now think of COVID. That's a global destiny, right? All the souls living on earth, according to their collective destiny, they're going through this thing. The underlying point in this is that we're receiving the results of past karma. That's not something to blame God about. We did the action, whether it be in our previous life or some life long before that, we did the karma and now we're getting the results. Why blame God about it? Jnani bhugate jnanate murakha bhugate roy. Again, that Ramayan verse comes. We can either undergo the consequences of our karma with wisdom and peace, or we can undergo it complaining, blaming God, blaming someone or something, when the fact is it's all the result of what we have done. So that's one aspect of the philosophy, the foundation. Now on top of that, add one more thing. We're all bound to die, are we not? Yes. No one and no thing, including COVID, can make someone die before their time. Whether someone dies of COVID or any other cause, that time is fixed. We discussed this today as well. So then, can you see COVID as a punishment? Not necessarily. In certain cases, there may be a certain amount of suffering that someone undergoes because of that disease. And yes, maybe that physical suffering is the outcome of something we had done. But dying is not a punishment. Dying is something we all do in every life. It's just a matter of when. And even dying earlier is not a punishment. It's just we were given that much time to inhabit this body. We can use all of this to adjust our perspective when it comes to COVID. The fear we have. What's going to happen? The insecurity, the unknown. It's okay. Our destiny is fixed as far as our time of death. We should live our life according to the laws of society. So whatever are the rules for adjusting to the COVID situation, we should follow them, but then at the same time, why worry? When it comes to death, what is going to happen is going to happen. So I hope some of this helps us understand this, how we can deal with this doubt that arises in our mind. Oh, how could God let this happen? Well, first of all, ups and downs are the nature of Maya. Disease is always going to be present in one form or another in Maya. Disease will never be eliminated, especially in Kali Yuga. Disease is a part of living in this world. God is here not to remove, not to interfere with our day-to-day ups and downs. That's according to our own lifestyle choices in this life, as well as the result of our past karma. So let us not blame or give God credit for that. God is just giving us the results of our actions. We can thank Him. Thank you for giving me the results, because nobody else was going to keep track of my karma and give me the outcome. So thank you for that. So maybe we should look at it all as His prasad. The good, the bad, whatever it may be, take it as His grace. Now we're taking the knowledge to an even higher level. So you can choose, according to your own relationship with God, where you want to come in on this pyramid of knowledge that we're building. Whether you want to just understand that this is the nature of Maya and God is just giving us the results of our karma, or you want to think that who knows, what seems as a bad thing today may actually produce good results in the future, and understand that whatever is happening is the result of our past karma. Or you want to even go to the point of thinking that whether it's a classically good thing or a classically bad thing, something that's causing us immediate displeasure, but who knows where it could go in the future. So we take it all as God's grace. You could come in at that level. But either way, all of this will help us understand the situation that we're in and we're going through, and how God is related to all of this. Does God want to see us suffer? No. But as long as we're in this world, suffering is part of living in the world. That's why He's telling us, do bhakti. Attach your mind to me, then the ups and downs of the world won't disrupt your mental peace. And if you surrender to me completely, then bhidyate hridaya granthischidhyante sarvasanshraya Kshiyante chasya karmani tasmin drishte paravare. Mundakopanishad. All your past karma is eliminated. You meet God face to face. Then you won't even have physical suffering after you attain God and you go to the divine abode. So God does want us to be perfectly happy and be free from suffering, but that would only happen once we attain Him. As long as we remain attached in this world, which causes us to be caught in the cycle of birth and death, as long as that situation remains, then we're bound to be subjected to these ups and downs of material life. Sometimes there are little ups and downs, sometimes bigger ups and downs, like winning the lottery or getting COVID. But this is the nature of the world, and it will go on. If we want to change something, we have to change ourselves. We can't change the world. So we can change ourselves by attaching our mind to God through bhakti. That will change our perspective and our experience of what's going on around us. So does anybody have any follow-up questions about that? There's one question in the back here in Nareshvaya.
Namaste Guruji.
Radhe Radhe.
We heard on Karma Yoga, what was karma, other things. You have explained it very nicely. Can you please tell us little thing on Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga? Because just now you are talking about the Bhakti, which is the easiest way to approach God.
Yes, Gyan and Bhakti are both devotion, actually. The true path of Gyan is devotion to formless God. And the path of Bhakti is devotion to the personal form of God. Both are devoted to God. The reason that Bhakti is easier than the path of Gyan is that it is not with the nature of the human mind to be able to focus on the abstract, absolute, formless God. That's very difficult. The mind is, see, we inhabit a personal body. We have a form. Everything we know and relate to has a form. Everything we attach our mind to has a form. In meditation, we're trying to attach our mind to God. So attaching one's mind to God in the personal form is very natural for the mind. We can just substitute Krishna or any form of God for the same way that we think about people, loved ones in this world. It's very natural. But on the path of Gyan, we're trying to think of God with no form. That's very difficult for anybody who has attachment in this world, or even attachment in their own selves and their own body. So that very briefly is the comparison and difference between Gyan Marg and Bhakti Marg. Radhe Radhe. We have time for one last question if anyone had anything to ask.
Radhe Radhe Bhaiya.
Radhe Radhe.
So I'm going to ask a question about personal responsibility, meaning you just a short while ago said God only gives results of our actions, and responsibility for, or like we have a choice. And because of we are making choice, we are responsible for our actions. Then how do we surrender our actions to God? If I'm responsible for it and I'm making that choice, then in practical terms, if I keep thinking, okay, I'm making this choice, I'm doing, for example, Radha Radhe job, and then I'm making that choice. But how do I then surrender?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's practically, it seems a little difficult. So I would change the approach, just the mental approach, to get the same result. One easier way might be to think, I'm doing this to please Krishna. Mm-hmm. Then that action is naturally offered to him. So think, by doing this, I hope this will make him happy. I hope I'm following his instructions, using my life for what he wanted me to use it. If that's the reason behind our action, then that is offered to him, that is surrendered to him.
I see. So it's the intention.
That's right.
And by what we are doing. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, it is said that we should not hurt anybody. That is counted as a negative karma, right? Now, when people have expectations from us, and we are not able to fulfill their expectations, and they feel let down and hurt, how is that counted as negative action?
No. Depending on the situation, right? If you're truly fulfilling your responsibility and their expectations are outside of that limit, or unrealistic or unfair, whatever it may be, then no, that's on them for having that expectation. But of course, it's between you and Krishna as far as, you sincerely fulfilling your responsibility, that's between you and him. But then the other person's expectations, that may or may not be correct, right? So if it's an unrealistic expectation, then that's on them, that they're experiencing that hurt or that disappointment. They created the wrong expectations, so they're suffering that. That's all the time we have for today, so I'll ask Deepa to make the announcements.
Radhe Radhe. First of all, I want to make sure we all thank Swami Nikhilanand Ji for the enlightening question and answer.
Next week, Divakari Didi will be giving a lecture, and on February 20th, I'll be back and I'll have another Q&A session then.
Thank you, Bhaiya. So Bhaiya is going to be traveling to Dallas, but he will be back, as he said, on February 20th. If anyone has any devotional questions, they can email Bhaiya at nb@radhamadhavdham.com.